Hello there, and welcome to our regular Saturday show here on the Phoenix Club. It is, of course, the Retro Premier League show. I'm Josh, joined as always by my right hand man, Tom Overend, and we'll be dipping into the archives of the Premier League era. Now, unusually, we're not going to be having a topic where we each give picks for and just generally discuss it. In fact, this week's topic on the Retro Show comes from what should have been a talking point on our Sunday show, Unpopular Opinions. An entry posted to us by Will Rayner. Hello to you, Will, a regular viewer and fan of the show. Also a big Chelsea fan, I believe. Good for you there, Tom. And he submitted as a possible talking point for Unpopular Opinions that the 04, 05, and I guess by extension 06 as well, Chelsea squad is the best ever from the Premier League era. So, because it's such a broad topic and there's so many alternative answers, we decided that it might make more sense to make this into a general topic for the retro show instead. So that's what we've done. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. So we've got 5 candidates. So we're going to go through the Manchester United squad of 1998 to 2001. Then we're going to talk about the Arsenal Invincibles of 03-04. Then we're going to the Chelsea 04 to 06 squad. Then it's back to Old Trafford for the 06 to 09 squad. And then finally, the current Manchester City squad from 2017 to the present day. So we're going to kick off then with the treble winners of 98 through to 2001. Of course, United winning in 98-99 the Premier League, Champions League and FA Cup, as well as winning a hat-trick of Premier League titles. A sublime squad there, led by Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, going from goalkeeper to striker, Peter Schmeichel, Gary Neville, Ronnie Johnson, Henning Berg, Dennis Irwin, Jaap Stam, David Beckham, Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Roy Keane. And then going up front, we got Andy Cole, Dwight York, Teddy Sheringham, and of course the current manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It was just a sublime squad, incredible squad depth there. And I guess the fact that they managed to win 3 trophies in a single season, which hadn't been done before and hasn't been done since, certainly that treble anyway, the main treble. And then to, again, before they did it again a decade later, the only team to win 3 league titles in a row. A remarkable side. What would you make of that, Tom, as the first candidate?
So, for the first candidate, I think it was a magnificent team. I think if you span 1999 to 2001, or 98 to 2001 rather, that's 3 Premier League wins in a row, which is, again, only been paralleled by another Ferguson team that we're going to come on to. As you say, a magnificent squad, but there are obviously drawbacks to this candidate. And as much as it's a brilliant team, and I feel like I'm not in a position to criticise it, their treble winners can't be considered the best team in Premiership history, only getting 79 points to win the league, which I think is low. I'm thinking Leicester won more than that. The 99-2000 side was a much better Premier League team, getting 91 points, but I believe they only won the Prem that year. But if we are judging it solely on the Prem, I'd put the 99-2000 side up there more, to be honest.
Okay, I mean, without turning it into too much of a debate, and I don't want to give any spoilers away for people that don't know the result of the 17-18 season, but the fact that the City were the first Centurions and United were second with 19 points behind, I don't think that really says much about the quality of Man City if they were thrashing teams left, right and centre and managed to get a high points total. So in my opinion, I think the quality across that period was far stronger. And for United, okay, granted it's not a great points total, but then if we're looking at the squad across all 3 seasons, in the middle season they went up by 18 points against a top Arsenal side we'll come on to shortly with the likes of Thierry Henry. I think Robert Perez was a little time after it, Lundberg, and the defence of Dixon, Keown, Adams, Winterburn, David Seaman in goal, Dennis Bergkamp. I think Emmanuel Petit was still there at that point. And so, as I said, I think that the caliber of competition, the level of competition at that time was so high that to be able to sustain that level and to win 3 leagues in a row for me says that again, they're certainly a worthy candidate, and that's why we've put them in there.
Oh, sure. And I was just making the point that I think that actually it's a myth that the treble winners were probably one of the Premiership's best sides. I'd say the performance in the Premiership was much better a year later. And that was the point I wanted to make there. Not that I think it wasn't a great side. I think it was magnificent. And it shows Ferguson's brilliance, by the way. And I'm going to come back to this, that he was able to produce 3 generations at least of great United sides. So that is our first candidate. I'm going to move on to our second candidate, which are Arsenal's Invincibles, the 034 title winners. Also, they won it in 2002 as well, with a high points total. But they were obviously unbeaten and managed 90 points in 2003-04. The fact they're unbeaten, considered by some as being a defining feature, making them the best team in Premiership history almost by default, really. But I'd love to see your thoughts on that, Josh.
Well, I guess the inverse of the argument that United's treble winners were so strong because they won three cups in the same season. If you use the flip side of that, then yes, okay, if we're talking strictly about performances in the Premier League, then I don't think it does get much better than being unbeaten in a single season. But I think if we're looking at the wider context here, that they weren't unbeaten in all competitions, and they were falling short in many areas. Look, I'm not trying to take away from the remarkable achievement of going unbeaten in a single season. And I think if anyone was going to come close to doing that, it was going to be City last season. And it shows how difficult it is that it hadn't been done in, 90 odd years, and it hasn't been done since. But another reason why even though I think they're certainly worthy of consideration, why I wouldn't put them amongst the very cream of the crop is because what have they gone on to win since? What have they actually achieved since? And if we're talking about sort of footballing dynasties, in as much as all the other teams we're speaking about or will speak about, it's over a course of more than a single season. Both of the United ones are over 3 seasons. Chelsea's is over 2 seasons. City's is last season and this current season. And the only trophy they've won in the last 14, 15 years has been the FA Cup. And they've not even come close, really, even though they finished second a couple of times. They've never really come close to winning the league title again. And so as I said, in many ways, I think it's an insane achievement to go unbeaten in a single season. But for the 2 reasons. Firstly, they didn't win anything else that season. And secondly, that they've not really won much since means that although I give a lot of credit to that side, I probably can't give as much credit to them as I do to some of the other sides we're going to talk about. Speaking of that, though, we are going to move on chronologically again to Tom's team, Chelsea, as they won 2 league titles in a row between 2004-05 and 05-06 under the stewardship of Jose Mourinho. Now, I know that at the time, it's not a record that currently exists because of City last season, but at the time they set the record for most points gained in a single Premier League season. They had a remarkable squad in their Arsenal. They had, obviously, led by John Terry, I believe it was his first season as captain, 04-05. Petr Cech came in, Didier Drogba came in.
I'll go to some. Joe Cole was fantastic that season. Gus Johnson was there. You had Wayne Bridge at left back. Gallas would sometimes fill in. Ricardo Carvalho, I think one of the most underrated centre-backs in Prem history. Paulo Ferreira coming in. And you've got to remember we had you have Frank Lampard, Damien Duff. It was an absolutely magnificent squad.
Was Alexis Merton amongst that roster as well?
Well, he was for a season. I think he played a fair number of games that year. I think he played 10 games. But just to add to some statistics, they got, at the time, 95 points, a record only broken 13 years after. We had 29 wins, which was a record number of wins in a 38-game season, which was only broken 14 years after by Conte's Chelsea. And only lost once all season to a rather contentious penalty scored by future Chelsea star Anelka at the Etihad Stadium. I think it's a great candidate because of the way it would sweep past Prem teams. They were almost tactically unbeatable for the first definitely season and a half under Jose. I mean, the fact that no other Benitez, Ferguson, Wenger could come anywhere close to him in that first season and a half was magnificent. And I'll also argue the fact that the team that the foundations were laid for a Champions League winning team, Europa League winning team, as well as several League Cups, FA Cups, and good Premiership seasons in the years afterwards under different management.
Okay, so again, if we're talking about trophies won in that period, apart from the Premier League, sorry, again, it's just the League Cup, isn't there? And I'm not just solely citing that, winning other trophies as a reason. Yeah, but you didn't win it though. As a reason why a team is a successful team. But I think if we're talking about squad depth, and actually how strong is that squad, not just a starting 11, but the entire squad to be able to balance multiple tournaments. You won the League Cup, and no disrespect to the League Cup, but it's not exactly one of the heavyweights. But look, I'm not trying to take away again from what a great squad it was, and certainly I think a stronger candidate than the Invincibles for sure. I think, in my opinion, I think teams would fear this
Mourinho.
Chelsea squad a lot more than they feared the Invincibles squad. That's just my opinion.
You've got to remember Drew 12 times across 0-3-4. And I think that's important because I think some of the more tactical managers could grind out draws against them. I think with Chelsea, to have 29 wins in 38 games and, as I say, lose only once because of quite a controversial penalty decision says a lot. You know, they were knocked out of the Champions League only because of a ghost goal that didn't go in.
Fair point.
I know I've had a lot of arguments with Liverpool fans on whether it was a penalty and things like that, but I'm going to still say that it shouldn't have been a goal. And I think that the fact you say it didn't compete on multiple fronts, I think that doesn't do the team justice, to be honest with you.
Well, okay, maybe it doesn't do the team justice, but again, does the lack of trophies do the team justice either?
Yeah, but you've got to remember they won the League Cup and the FA Cup the year after in 06-07. They got Champions League final in 07-08.
Yeah, lost it.
Yeah. Don't make me cry, man.
Sorry, but again, it took you another 4 years to win the title.
It did. But I think that, again, the foundations were laid. And I think that side, as you say, was probably one of the most feared teams, particularly by Ferguson and by Man United. I think this team was a key catalyst in getting to our next side in the list, which is Ferguson's Man United side from 2006 to 9, who I think had to adapt to Jose's Chelsea team and came back, in my opinion, stronger than ever. And they won 3 premierships in a row in those years, getting 90 points in 2008 to 9, whilst facing, in my view, some of the best competition that the league had had. Benitez, Mourinho, Wenger again, as I say, all fantastic managers in their own right. And with incredible players who I'm sure you'll want to merit more than me. But again, they were my rivals. And while I always wanted us to beat this side, I think the rivalry between Chelsea and Man United in the mid to late 2000s was probably the highest quality matchup in Premiership history.
But I would say that in terms of competition in total in Premier League history, it wasn't just United and Chelsea, it was the top 4, wasn't it? No matter how the team started the first 15 games, you knew for that 5-6 year period, it was always going to be, in any order, United, Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool. And I appreciate that in some respects, it was almost like a separate division. But for quality and quality alone, and for competition, it was just incredible to witness. And for United to be top of the tree for 3 seasons in a row amongst that competition, again, I think says a lot about the team. And I think, as you were mentioning, with the competition and the level of competition, I think sometimes you have to judge yourself based on who you're competing against. And as you said, we had the Chelsea side that had just won 2 leagues in a row, and as you said, they won the FA Cup 06 or 07. We again, it shows the strength of English football at that time. That in 07 08, it was the two biggest teams in England, first and second, facing each other in the Champions League final, and perhaps in a way it was right that the first place did take the final as well. 08-09 with Benitez's Liverpool. Fernando Torres just joining the side there. What a revelation he was for Liverpool. And again, if we look at the squad from 07 to 09, we had amongst our attacking force, Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, Berbatov, Nani there as well. We were fortunate again in that era to have Cristiano Ronaldo, who would again, perhaps, and I appreciate throughout this entire video, people are probably going to accuse both of us of bias. But it's not our fault that we support good teams. Well, maybe not anymore, but certainly back in the day. But again, with Cristiano Ronaldo, in my opinion, the greatest of all time, we got to witness the glimpses and the making of a true a historical football legend. And some of the things he could do was just magic. And again, I believe the only Premier League winning Ballon d'Or winner, Cristiano Ronaldo. So again, make of that what you will. And I say, actually, winning the Premier League and the Ballon d'Or in the same year. And also, the United side also went on to win the Club World Cup too. And not that it's the competition isn't exactly strong, but still, I believe the only English side to do so.
But on to our final candidate. It has to be Pep's Centurions, 2017-18. 100.
That is a good team. Wow.
Good. No, 132 out of 38 league games, which is unbelievable, and only lost twice all season. Thoughts?
Well, as I said before, yeah, okay, they're a good side, and they're showing that again this season. But if your biggest competition is arguably the worst Manchester United side in living memory, and we had David Moyes for a season, if we're talking about when United beat Arsenal by 18 points in 1999-2000, that was against a top draw Arsenal side compared to last season. Now, you can say what you want about the individual players, but the game I think we lost to all three promoted sides, or at least all three relegated, or we lost to a couple of the relegated sides as well. We were just losing the most ridiculous games. To be honest, we should never have even beaten City when we overturned that 2-0 deficit. It was just an embarrassment to watch last season, and so perhaps again it's unfair to discredit City because it's not their fault United was so bad. By the same token, if you're looking at the argument about a competition, they were always going to win the league, really. After about 10, 12 games, it was becoming embarrassing. It was becoming ridiculous. And the competition, again, the fact that Liverpool reached the Champions League final and people were saying what a good side they were. Okay, they might be pushing for the title this season, but they only finished fourth. And many people think that last season Liverpool were a better side than United, and United still finished 2 places above them. So many of these factors to me suggest that all right, this City side is good enough that we're even talking about them, and they reached 100 points. By the same token, what was their competition?
Yeah, but then again, you have to say that there was again top draw management in there, and the fact that Pep was able to cut through the weaker sides in a way that Jurgen Klopp, Antonio Conte, Mauricio Pochettino, Arsene Wenger, all class managers. Jose, I don't know if I said Mourinho there. All of these guys are top managers. I think I had a stat that there were more Premier League winning managers in and around the league, both last season and this season.
I was just thinking that the other day, actually, that even now we've got Claudio Ranieri at Fulham, we've got Pellegrini at West Ham, and in the current top 6 is only Guardiola, I believe. Obviously, there was Wenger last season too, but
Mourinho, Conte, Wenger. I think the points difference just shows how good the City side was, and not necessarily how poor the competition was.
Well, do you think that
To,
last season's United side was a good side?
well, you've got to look at the stats that at the start of the year they were tipped head to toe with Man City.
Well, they were, but then look what happened at the end, and look at the games, the really embarrassing results that we were getting throughout the season. I know that perhaps we disagree here, but I think it's more than a stats game. I think you have to actually look beyond the points total. Because as I said, United beat Arsenal by 18 points, which was the record until last season. But it's a very good Arsenal side, which to me says more about United than it does Arsenal. But for last season, I think that obviously it was a good City side because they won the league, but I think to a certain extent they were the best of a very, very bang average bunch.
We're going to give our opinions on how we would rank this 5. And we'd love it if you guys, if you're still watching, would put in your comments your ranking of top 5. We won't judge it. We might debate, but we don't go blocking people we don't agree with or anything like that.
Not anyone in particular you're referencing there.
Yeah, but we'll come to that in future shows. And honestly, we just want debate. We love debate. And it's what I think is so brilliant about the Premiership. So, Josh, my friend, do your rankings, pal.
Right, so in 5th, I think this might even be the most controversial of the lot. I'm going to put the Arsenal Invincibles in 5th place. As I said, I'm not going to give too much more. They haven't achieved since, really, and they didn't achieve beyond the league title. And as you said, Tom, being unbeaten in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean much because you could finish the season with 38 points and be unbeaten. So 4th place, again, arguably maybe more controversial than that, is the current City squad. For the reasons that I've stated, I think that they were, again, don't want to discredit them, but the best of a bang average bunch. I think perhaps if they go on to win it this season, I'll give them more credit. 3rd place then, and this is where the argument of bias comes in, is the Chelsea 04-06 season. Again, because yes, I think they were dynamite across those 2 seasons, but again, they only won the League Cup alongside the 2 league titles. 2nd place is the United 06-09 squad then, because I think player for player, the squad was probably stronger than obviously the treble winners, but for the reason that they won the treble and that they won the league by 18 points, and that in my opinion the competition was so strong and the players that were playing in the Premier League around that time were certainly amongst the best ever. I mean, even there was Alan Shearer amongst that time. They had Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler, and so for me, I think the treble winners have to be up there. I mean, even I was reading the other day that the fact that United in that Champions League campaign were unbeaten in 3 matches against Bayern Munich, and they didn't lose to Barcelona either. I think that it just shows for so many reasons that that was by far and away the strongest side to have played in the Premier League era. And just as a final quick note, I think it's perhaps unfair to use the stat that they only got 79 points or whatever it was in that season, because of all they managed to achieve, not just in that season, but across those 3 seasons.
Okay, that's interesting. I've gone slightly differently, but I think you've justified your choice as well. I think I'm going to start, and this is really hard. And as you've been explaining through, I've been kind of chopping and changing my mind and thinking, I can't do this. I'm going to offend somebody in this choice here, to be honest with you.
This is a snowflake-free zone.
Well, I know, but it's tough. It's really, really tough, this. Because, okay, I'm going to have to go... No, I can't.
Just pick a number from 1 to 5.
Okay. So, okay, I'm going to put the Invincibles at 5. And I'm really sorry, Arsenal fans. And if you want, you know...
Can I just say at this point, this doesn't mean we're saying these teams are bad teams. It's almost impossible to rank. It's just that if we're putting them in an order, it's just that they're just not as good as the teams that we're ranking above them in our opinion.
I'm then going to go for I feel terrible saying this, guys, but I think the United 06-09 side was built off of Mourinho's blueprint, really, and to an extent that of Rafa Benitez. And I think while the earlier United side was very much its own brand of football, I think this one, which is a plus point of it as well as a negative, followed rather than led the Premiership in terms of tactics. So that's why I'm going to put it in the fourth place, which I think is so offensive. I'm sorry, United fans. In third, I'm going to go for the Centurions. And for me, it was between them and another one. But I think, as you say, the fact that they were beaten by Liverpool and they were beaten by Liverpool in Europe as well showed that there were ways of beating this side. And that top managers like Klopp could do it. So I'm going to put that in third. And then in second place, treble winners. I think the treble winners have to be in second here.
That wasn't worth the wait.
No, because I was gonna put Jose in second, but I couldn't.
I know you.
I just couldn't.
I think we feel a subconscious sense of loyalty.
No, I couldn't. I mean, I'm sorry, Fergie. I'm sorry, all the United fans. I couldn't do it. So first, I have to put Mourinho's Maestros for the fact that they weren't beaten by any top side in that period, bar by a Darren Fletcher header in 2006. So that's my top five, guys. Sorry for this being a bit of a longer video today, but we had to settle this debate after Will put it to us. Any final thoughts, Josh?
Well, you're wrong, first of all. And lastly, I think that's probably the note that I'm going to end on. So, yeah, of course, as always, leave your ranking of the top five in our comments section below. And, of course, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And make sure that bell button is activated too. If you don't know what that means, it means that every time we post a new video, you'll be notified on your smartphone or on your laptop straight away. So you can always tune in. Be one of the first to view our new videos as and when they're released. And of course, don't forget to like our Facebook, Instagram and Twitter pages so you can see all our content, all our promos that we're posting, and also to take part in our interactive user polls. And join us please tomorrow as we take part in another bashing of some of your unpopular opinions. And I think we've also got another expert, another professional pundit or journalist lined up to have another roast of. So that's Unpopular Opinions tomorrow, Sunday at 12 p.m. Until then, I'm Josh, that's Tom. Thanks for watching.